Should teachers and school staff be allowed to go and watch their own child's nativity? I feel this may well be a really good example of a red flag as to whether you are working in a toxic school or not. It's a bit of a no-brainer for me, obviously, yes, but going off some of the messages I've received this week, I want to put this question out there to see if it's as common as it seems based on those messages. While I think some people might look at this as a real small issue and just take the line of, well, it's just part and parcel of the job, I genuinely think it has a much bigger impact than some of us might think, and contributes more to reasons why so many teachers are leaving the profession. We are faced with the biggest retention crisis we've ever seen in teaching. We are hemorrhaging teachers, more leaving now than ever before. And the thing that annoys me about this particular issue is it's not necessarily something that affects all teachers. There are definitely things that are affecting every teacher, no matter what school you work in, as reasons why teachers are leaving the profession: workload, behaviour. And there are these things that differ school to school, and it must be so frustrating if you're a teacher who's been told that you are not allowed to go and watch your own child's nativity, yet you have a friend who's a teacher at another school who is allowed. Now, when I reply to these messages asking the reason why they're not allowed to go, not allowed to go, like we're the children, it's normally something along the lines of cover. And there's not enough cover, there's not enough adults, not enough bodies. And I get that, right? I know schools are being pushed to the brink because of these budgets, which is why I think this whole idea of flexible working that the government are suggesting teachers take PPA from home isn't going to be able to happen in so many schools if they're not funded enough to provide cover. But then I also think if a school leadership really wanted to, they would find a way. When I did ask the question to one person saying, well, what would the leadership team be doing? Fully expecting them to say, oh, well, they'll be teaching. It was like, oh, no, they'll just be sat in their office, which I'm guessing is an example of leadership that would be in the minority, but still. Again, it's just an example of how I feel we're really getting this whole well-being thing wrong in education. I've talked about it on numerous occasions. For me, well-being is not about these pointless token gestures of a staff shout-out board and a few chocolates here and there and maybe a staff yoga well-being session every so often. True well-being is about making people feel trusted as professionals and valued as people. The sad fact that in so many schools that isn't happening, where people are feeling valued, feeling trusted, I think is just a real damning indictment of how bad and toxic some schools can be, especially when you consider the fact that the biggest demographic of teachers leaving the profession are 30 to 39-year-old mums who are feeling that motherhood penalty, that don't feel they can be an effective teacher and also be present enough as a parent. That's what makes these little things seem massive. Because when you are a teacher working more hours than ever before, you're not always there for your own children, which in itself, again, is another damning indictment of how bad teaching's got. The worst message I got this week was from a teacher who wasn't allowed to go to their own child's nativity in their own school because the child goes to the school this teacher teaches at, and she still wasn't allowed to go. I mean, imagine being a teacher who was literally slaved for the past month to put a nativity together. Because you know what they say, don't work with animals or kids. And for a lot of us, our class seem to be both at the minute. Getting them to a point of putting on a performance so that those children and those parents have those core memories that will last a lifetime, and then just not being able to do it yourself as a parent. I just think that's a really, really sad state of affairs. Maybe, or hopefully, the messages I've had this week are from people in the minority, and for the vast majority, it's not a thing. We can go and watch our kids' nativity, but that's why I want to put the question out there, and please do let me know in the comments whether you would be allowed or not. And I know some people might be thinking, well, you know, what about those staff members who aren't parents? Well, I'm sure there's going to be occasions where they need that little bit of flexibility. I don't know. There might be a wedding they need to go to or an appointment or something like that. But the way I look at it, and this is where maybe I feel lucky in my school, in that I work with a staff who will step up for each other and work as a team. And I know that if I was to step up for a colleague, that would be reciprocated, which is what makes working at my school so enjoyable, in that you do feel really part of a team. And again, it's sad that I know there's some schools where that's not the case.